Yeah, so Challenge has been a really interesting scene because earlier on in the season track, it was all secret results, so we didn't really know what was going on. And then all of a sudden, there was a flood of replays and results thrown at us as it became more public. And currently, we have Jake, who we're seeing tonight, who hasn't lost yet, is at the top of Challenger looking to take it home. And we'll have to see if they're able to do that. They're playing up against Tabs, who's also undefeated. They've had one draw so far, but they've also played two less matches. So it's hard to say the relatively skills of these two players, but we're certain it's going to be a corker.
Yeah, Challenger this year is actually named very appropriately. It's based on actually challenging people to matches. It's not scheduled in advance or generated like the other schedules in the other divisions. So in this case, playing a lot is a benefit because you get points just for participating to encourage that participation for new players. So it has led to some crazy results where people are playing hundreds of SCL games in just a few weeks. And as you said, the results are just flooding in. These two, obviously, two of the more active players, but also two of the better players so far as well. And it'll be interesting to see them go head to head and see who comes out on top because whoever does has a very good chance of winning Challenger outright and making it into the tournament of placement in the postseason.
Yeah, so these two players have some unusual names, but we'll go over it now. It's not Tabsies, it's Tabses. We've talked to them, and that's what they prefer. And it's Jake Armstro, I guess. I guess it's meant to be Armstrong, but in full form. The Jake is backwards. So just keep that in mind when you see these two players, Tabses and Jake, basically.
Yeah, we're going to pronounce it forwards, regardless of what order the letters are in.
All right, so we're gonna
Yeah.
hop right into those picks and bans. And for Thabsy's got the first pick. They banned Pub 35.
Okay, I think that's their first time banning that, actually.
And then Jake ended up banning Tan. It seems to be a relatively popular ban.
It's literally the only thing Jake has banned so far this season, so that one less of a surprise than Thabsy's.
And then Thabs's picked Library for the doubled map, and then Jake followed up with Courtyard. Thabsy's picked Ballroom for their final map, and then Jake ends it with High Rise.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think Jake's actually going to be really happy with that because that Ballroom is their most picked venue. So I think this is a case of, hey, they're going to pick it for me. I get to pick something else. You hate to say someone really wins or loses a draft, but that looks pretty favorable for Jake right out of the gate.
And that's a position you want to be as the undefeated, most winningest person in Challenger right now. If you're getting them at the venues you want in the draft, picked by your opponent, it allows you to go into, I guess, your off pool, or maybe pull out something you've been wanting to play for a while, but it hasn't worked out for you. So, really good start as far as draft is concerned for Jake.
Personally, for me, it's always a mix of happiness and anxiety. First, happiness. Oh, great. I don't have to pick it. They picked it for me. And then anxiety. Wait, did I really want that? Did they see something I didn't? Now what do I pick? All my plans are thrown into chaos. So we'll see what happens here.
All right, well, we're going to hop into game. And we've got it as Jake as Taft on Library. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Certainly.
All right, one of you count it in.
All right, let's get it started in 3, 2, 1. Playing it. Like you mentioned, Jake playing Taft here for the first game of Library. A very interesting character to get us kicked off on. Fastest movement speed in the game. Largest hitbox as far as like physical space that it can obscure. And we all know Library to be a map of shenanigans, a venue of shenanigans. So I anticipate when you pick Taft early, an inspect swap finish could be on the cards.
Yeah, that character model's obfuscation is most useful for the swap. They're going to be an ambassador most of the time for most people, but this is the big exception. Library is when you might actually want to use Taft personally rather than as your ambassador.
Stepping into statues early, though, so potentially wanting to get inspects off the cards early. It's always interesting to see how players do opt in, what order they decide to pick their missions. Obviously, a lot of snipers will use their highlights for inspects purely, and it means that you instantly become a beacon to the sniper's view, making other hard tells somewhat harder to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jake does normally complete inspects. They're completing them around 63% of the time. They actually have really interesting mission tendencies. Inspects, contact, and seduce all completed between 60 and 66% of the time. So they really do max out those soft tells when they can.
Stepping in conversation with the double agent, also with a path lined up for a bug at the yellow bookshelf. I have to see if Jake wants to BB split potentially into a bug with the ambassador. We're staying here for quite some time. The ambassador's going to put the book back in just a second. Contact is a white action test. We're going to stick the talk through and allow for some lowlights to come through from Tabs.
Yeah, and Tabs clearly watching the ambassador closer than the list. Most snipers kind of have to pick when they're on other sides. Which one do I care about more? Tabsy seems to care a little bit more about that ambassador, which means that white was seen because we were near the ambassador when it happened.
Ambassador was just here, so fingerprint on this book is marked by Tabs as well. Going to just one cycle the reading animation and put it back, and that highlight from the sniper showcases that was a lot of suspicion put right there. Whether it's purely through etiquette alone or just timing, it felt too quick. Either way, right now, Jake seems to be our top suspect.
Yeah, and Jake has left pads really quickly. He's taken a lot of short paths to their next goal. Early inspect makes you a little paranoid too, and yeah, not waiting at all really for that fingerprint either, combined with the white banana bread on screen, and that makes you top suspect. Again, you're already a suspicious character, as you pointed out earlier.
Gotta love it. Etiquette coming to play, even down in the Challenger League. Jake currently going to be watched like a hawk as he rejects the drink offer from Toby. We're looking to try and finish off Seduce here at 51%. Flirtation cooldown coming off shortly. We hit it, but unfortunately sunshined by our seduction target, and that's going to be extra time that we didn't want to waste.
Yeah, we do have nice progress across a lot of different mission sites, but probably not enough relative to the amount of suspicion we seem to have.
Second attempt at a fingerprint. This time, it's going to be difficult and we fail it, unfortunately. Going to take the green book with us and look for another close flirt. But oh no, again, this time we get it cancelled once more. That was just a second sunshine, so AI luck not on our side, and this is where players tend to panic. You can see Jake is moving very quickly, trying to keep up with the seduction target. Needs to find this seduce swiftly, but we're not going to fit into this conversation. Oh wow, somehow we do. Very tightly though. Hit the flirt. Green. Run.
Wow, very quick. Aggressive, to say the least, but what option do you have at this point with just 40 seconds left on the clock?
Returning green book to blue bookshelf, looking for the microfilm transfer direct here. Was Tabs on it when we pulled it out? Doesn't look to be so, because no shot has come off just yet. That's going to be fourth mission completed. Now we're stepping into side statue, looking for that swap that we predicted earlier. Here comes the swap white test. Can the sniper see it? No, they can't. It's perfectly hit in 6 seconds, and Tabs needs to zoom in or take a shot off suspicion, and he goes for it. Beautiful shot coming through from Tabs, finding the shot in a dire moment.
That is the worst feeling as a sniper when you realize I'm not going to get a look at this. I have to shoot for circumstance alone. Circumstances were adding up, though, and it was rendered into a guilty verdict in the end. And that's heartbreaking up there, that one fingerprint. And the interesting thing was, they didn't notice the microfilm because Tabsies was watching the ambassador and the guest list so closely. They were so worried about those two missions, and yet those were the two hardtails that weren't done.
If you hit that difficult fingerprint at the green bookshelf, then all of a sudden that game becomes so much more simpler. However, unfortunately for Tabs, unfortunately for Jake, you can't always bet a game on a green test, and that's where things sometimes goes not according to your plan. But I mean, this is why you picked Taft. It gives you the ability to make last-minute plays at the statues, and really, it all comes down to the sniper's ability to take a shot off of circumstance rather than off what they can see. And that's a really high-level shot coming through from Tabs. Now playing as small man, we'll have to see if the spy play is up to par as well. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
From one end of the size spectrum to the other, really. And yeah, I like what you say about high-level shot. That's actually one of the reasons kind of not to do it. If you can force a high-level sniper to take that circumstantial shot, that's pretty good as a percentage.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my god!
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. I'm a huge advocate of this play. Yeesh will know.
Yes, so not only is he hard to see in general based on his stature, but his watch check animation is shockingly quick, and that pad back there, people don't always remember that that is a window pad in the back. You can add time there, not just out front. So when you combine all those things here on Library, you get the opportunity for a lot of extra time, sometimes at no cost.
That was only 2 watch checks coming through from Tabs. The last time I saw this play was Summer Cup quarterfinals, and I believe it was 6 or 7.
It was an
Came
absolute
through.
crazy person who should not be allowed to play this game anymore, I think it was,
Or
right?
commentate it, one of the two. It's funny because I tested that on Yeesh of all people, and that's what led me to make a decision like that. And right now, Tabs has so much time in their pocket. Goes
And
for
the other
the
way.
seduce, but accidentally hits the fake contact, which is a bit of a pain. That's going to allow some low lights to come through from Jake, but surprisingly not many, or just one by the looks of it. That's a lot of lowlights missed, a real missed opportunity from Jake, from a unforced error from Tabs.
Not too bad in the way of lowlights, though. It didn't hurt them as much as it could have, but you could see that telltale camera shake, and the circumstances and the fact that the decision otherwise makes no sense means, yeah, very safe to assume misclick.
Gonna go back for our second flirt here. 4 minutes and 50 seconds on the spy clock. A swift talk, stop talk. Let's get rid of this drink as well. Etiquette being broken, but it's fine. We're on Library with small men, and right now, it doesn't seem like Jake cares. And so this is the perfect blend of actions, really. With if you can just get away with the shenanigans, you might as well. And the perfect thing about this play track is look at the highlights starting to tick up here. Nothing really has happened for our spy. 4 highlights, 1 onto Kane, a very suspicious character in his own right. And Tabs can just basically try to actively idle this one out, do a little bit of nothing. We'll see if we do a little bit of nothing with this book here.
Yeah, that is actually what you should do. The whole point of doing the time ads is to let
Lovely.
suspects accumulate. You're not up against a diamond level etiquette sniper who's going to get lowlights over time. They're going to have the opposite problem. They're going to get highlights over time, which means either A, they'll shoot someone when you do nothing, or B, if you do something, like say a green purloin, it's way more likely that one of those many accumulated suspects will be in the reject chain and will get shot for it.
Difficult fingerprint gives us a 1, and then a simple briefcase fingerprint completes a mission for us. This is beautiful stuff from Tabs. Really good early progress through basically nothing that looks suspicious. We can finish our flirt here. We should be in range, I believe. Oh no, not quite actually. Bit deceiving, 97%, but hey, it's 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, so we're not going to cry about it.
Yeah, those fingerprints and that flirt are the insurance policy in Smallman's back pocket right now. If the shot doesn't come off, if Jake manages not to shoot any of these glowing suspects, there are still going to be options late to complete.
Considering a purloin, but we're going to reject it, and I think that's a wise decision at this point. We're still 3 minutes on the clock. We've got plenty of time to do a little bit of whatever. We're just going to watch the party go about us. The ambassador on the left side, Toby on the left side, Tabs. He's going to go right. Potentially, we're going to attempt something a little bit shenanigansy. This tends to be what you do, and there it is, the rip of the book from the yellow case, and a good little entry into conversation. Potentially the book's completely hidden from the sniper here as well. Yeah, it is. And so now we can move towards the green bookshelf and bump it right in. And at this point, Jake's very much watching that left side with intent. Too much threat. This is going to be another free mission coming through, a hard toe of such. Tabs is rolling right now. Momentum.
Yeah, you said a little bit of whatever. That was a lot of whatever. That's what Smallman's good at, doing a whole lot of whatever. And absolutely right, the guest list and the ambassador on the far left, it's so hard not to dedicate all your attention to those two things. But on the other hand, the spy knows that rather. So why would they do them? They would do something else. They would do the counterintuitive thing and take a book and dump it. That's exactly what happened, and it looks completely free.
Contact going to be the next mission. Ooh, a bit of a shuffle. We're looking for a bug as the ambassador came past, but didn't quite get it. So we didn't want to step into statues. I feel like at this point, we're really just leaning into, I'm Smallman, I can get away with whatever, but potentially that's cost us a bit of time here, because instead of taking the contact, we try the bug, and now the double agent has split and gone to blue bookshelf. All we need is a contact and 3 inspects, or a hard tell and a contact. We're going to go for the bug here, I assume? No. Tabs decides against it. Practically hidden behind the pillar. With a minute left on the clock, you have to assume it is going to be contact into inspects here to finish us off. Maybe
Normally, I would
inspects
say
into contact.
Yeah, I would normally say inspects first, but the fact that a fake has already gone off means this could be the shot prompt by itself. But it'll be very telling. If they make it through this, they're much more likely to win this game.
A minute left on the clock. Of course, a minute and a half has been added to this game. Right now, Jake has done a huge amount to hold on. Swap comes through. White test onto a 3 as well. Are we looking? No, we're not. Now we see it, but we're hiding. We're dancing. We can't get the shot off. And that's going to be Tabs taking a spy win on Library.
Wow, looks like they were going to have to 3-cycle anyway because of the white tests, and they go right into the swap and just say, okay, screw it. But I got to say, a very unconventional move. Normally when you do that, the power is in the silent game on Library, which is almost unheard of. But in this case, a fake had already gone off, so you didn't even have that benefit. You do have the benefit of being Smallman, though, and not being seen at all for that microfilm, and a little dancing at the end for the last few precious seconds. But it looks like Jake was indeed lining up that shot and caught it just in time.
Jake was lining it up, but that's what happens if you're small man dancing behind two of the tallest characters in the game, General and Salmon. Very difficult to find the angle on Library of all venues where you don't have much wiggle room with your camera work. And incredible patience shown by Jake. A couple of moments in that game that I feel like Tabs could have been caught. The bug most notably to me was so unnecessary. You could have gone for the second contact. Would have been the safer play. And of course, the second bug attempt would have been even better of a chance for Tabs if we were going to go for bug. But either way, we make it work. Here for Jake, down 2-0 on Library. Now playing as General. We'll have to see if we can bounce back. Do we have the mental fatigue to do so? Let's play it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Mental fatigue is exactly the right term for any Library game, particularly one with those kinds of time adds. And you're absolutely right. Incredible patience from Jake to have those highlights, to stretch that game out as long as they did, and to still notice at the end. That's a lot. That's really good discipline from any sniper, let alone a new one.
It's going to be the markings coming through. A bit of accidental highlighting going on. It's always funny when we know it's the spy. Green microfilm comes through with the action test. And looks like it was unseen on the camera here. At least that's what the laser work from Tabs suggests to us. This is fine because most snipers who would want to look for a action test microfilm are going to just look for it on the second book visit regardless.
Yep,
then
first
really
one's free.
Apply it. Chasing our seduction target here. Looks like to conversation. That'd be ideal for us. A nice little 34% flirt. Jake's starting off with a good amount of progress here. Track. We'll have to see how he wants to progress into this game.
Yeah, what I always want to see with those early action test microfilms, or just an early book grab, for example, is whether or not they try to space out the distance there between when they can start the mission and when they finish it. Because you could do that at the end, and so much will have happened in a typical
Red test
Library
Perlin
game.
coming up here, Track.
Oh,
it's
boy.
off camera completely, and we've left the conversation. We're just piecing out with our drink here. Now the guest list has been seen to be gone, and Tabs has to play catch up. Will he suspect General with the drink crossing venue? Highlights coming through. Suspecting Tex of all people. Cowboy with the briefcase at this point. In fact, maybe not. Maybe it was just the briefcase that we were suspicious of, because now highlights and lowlights are coming through, and Cowboy becomes a neutral to highlight. He's all over the place. Tabs is in panic mode, recovery mode, and this is where Jake could pounce. We go for the fake contact with two people in our conversation. None of them SDAs. This is going to allow Jake to blend into the crowd just a little bit more, and if you're in panic mode as a sniper, potentially you take risky lowlights. Seems like we're going to hold our nerve for now. The gulp of the drink comes through. 2 minutes on the clock, and Tabs has plenty of time to catch back up into this game.
That's a pretty decent number of lowlights, but the question is, how does the sniper feel about them? If they are confident in those lowlights, then they're actually in pretty decent shape here. If they're not, and they're paranoid, and they're not at all sure that some of the people they've lowlit couldn't have done it, then they're actually in big trouble.
Jake going to chase the seduction target across venue. Good little chance for a bug on the ambassador there, but Jake opts not to. It's very hard to catch those when General's walking bug is one of the best in the game, and the angle's not there. And look at that, Tabs Very quick shot onto Alice. We'll have to rewind and see where that shot came from. Potentially just a mismemorization of the book.
Well, so Alice was at statues when they swung over and saw the list was gone. And that is the spy move, isn't it? Ditch to statues. I couldn't have purloined. My hands are busy, after all. So I think that might have just been sort of an inference. It would have been, well, this is one of the people who was in the general area and is doing a very spy-like move after the purloin, and I'm paranoid. I mentioned that earlier with the lowlights. If you are really, really paranoid after a purloin like that, you're pretty much just going to shoot someone.
Not to mention, in conversation, talking with a suspected double agent when the contact went off. And then after that, heading over towards the green bookshelves and what looks like potentially maybe a short read animation. It was, I believe, Tabs who highlighted Jake for a one cycle, wanted to shoot him for that. And Alice, one of the faster characters when it comes to those reading animations, does just a read and then does a page turn afterwards. So potentially if you're already panicked and behind and this character's done enough suspicious things, you could justify that was just a single animation or was just a little bit too quick. But either way, the shot comes off for things that probably weren't going to be mission wins, which is always a tough one when you're sniping. It can be the difference between winning those games and I suppose losing them track is what you ultimately shoot for at the end of the day. We're going to
absolutely
jump over for a spy game here for Tabs, and he's going to play Alice, who burnt him here. I say Alice, the community name. Ponytail, probably a better name for newer viewers. Let's get this one underway in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, Ponytail because she has a ponytail, obviously, and therefore easily identifiable to new people. But we call her Alice because she's based on the artist John Simino's girlfriend, Alice, who I have met and is a lovely person. Does not deserve to be shot.
Rip a blue book from its bookshelf, head into a conversation with the seduction target and the double agent. Lots of value in this conversation, but we're just going to speed through this one by the looks of things.
Yeah, literally one of the fastest characters in the game, and that actually does matter on bigger venues like this.
The main benefit, I suppose, of Ponytail is that, yes, she's quick, but she's also small. Actually, we're just going to use that
Case in point.
to our advantage. A bit of a cheeky microfilm behind the pillar on the left side, and the sniper never really looks quite over there. And so now, for Alice, we can return this book to the blue bookshelf, and as long as Jake was on the money of where that book came from, mind you, we ripped it very quickly at the beginning of the game, then this could be really good for us. Argument could be made, if you're going to rip a book like that, then you should return it. You should just directly transfer it. The sniper may have never seen it.
Yeah, perhaps, yeah. It's still all about the timing there, guessing when the laser's moving away. There's a little bit of latency built in, so it's a little bit of guesswork, but if you get away with it, it is totally invisible, and it was definitely invisible there.
And I love the leaning into the shenanigans that can come on library. We don't see it, and it's particularly this season. I think there's been a very lackluster amount of shenanigans on library across most divisions track. Tabs here is willing to do it every spy game, and it's painted off so far. Gonna finish our flirt very shortly. Somehow a purloin came off, and I've completely missed it.
Yeah, it was actually just a white and then a gulp. Just boom, boom, kind of with the pillar obscuring a little bit. I'd say that qualifies as at least low-level shenanigans. There you go.
5 low lights from the purloin, gained by Jake. Seduce has now been completed. Tabs with the green book, looking to finish the action test microfilm. And we're going to do it behind a pillar. And we're going to do it in the exact same spot. Might as well. We didn't get burned for it the first time. As if we're going to get burned for it the second time. Steps into conversation. It's good. The sniper sees we're there. When do we leave is the question. And will we get burnt for leaving is the question as well. Tabs is lining up for it. But potentially Teal and Toby could provide a bit of a pain for getting out. We could go around them, of course, in the conversation. Now would be a good time, I feel. Tabs goes for it. Off camera for now. Can't be seen. The ponytail sticking out. The microfilm has been transferred, and on the sniper camera... Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
It's fine. It's fine. We did
Visible.
see Alice leaving the pillar, but I don't think it was actually seen by the sniper's eyes.
Yeah, it was only there for a second, and it didn't really look definitive. If you weren't really looking for it, I don't think you'd see it. You might even chalk it up to just bouncing or briefcase or something, right, in the back of your mind. In this case, I think they got away with both ends of this.
Oh my lord. No, no, no. Tabs goes for the bug, assuming off camera, and Jake swings round and finds it. A game where all the mission progress was invisible and very well calculated. And unfortunately for us, we just get caught with a bug, and that's going to be the game lost for Tabs. And I feel like that was so unnecessary. A contact into a triple inspect could have done the trick. But I guess also with Purloin already being done, you have to assume the sniper's going to be watching.
That would have been the safe play, certainly in that case, especially if you didn't think you were already top suspect. But they made 3 assumptions about when the sniper was looking. The first 2 for microfilm were right. The third for Bug was wrong. Maybe can't help themselves. Actually, looking at their numbers here, Bug is their second most completed mission, almost 50% of the time. That's more than they've done Double Agent.
I love the idea of bugging on library, but potentially just not the right timing. And we'll never know what kind of laser the spy saw in the moment. Replays are recorded from the sniper's perspective. So not a true testament to what Tabs saw in the moment and how they could have justified it. But even then, if you wanted to make the bug player contact into a bug, you could have positioned quite nicely in the conversation and waited for the moment. Unfortunately, it is going to be Tabs losing that spy game. And I mean, I say unfortunately, blatantly, I'm biased. Jake's going to be loving this. Ties it back up 2-2 after a very rough start to the series here. Now into Courtyard with Till. We'll have to see if they can turn it around for themselves in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
You say unfortunately because we tend to root for the underdog, and the spy is usually the underdog, particularly on library.
Cool. Absolutely. I mean, I root for spy in most scenarios.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Big 51% flirt from Jake. And I'll tell you what I would love to see Jake do. Let's just leave the conversation, do a lap around the courtyard, and come straight back into conversation and get that second flare out of the way. No one's ever going to catch it. Do it, Jake. Do it.
You just want all the cheese, don't you? You just have a taste for cheese.
I can understand there's the wanting to play the game right, but I do think that early on in a series, in that moment of chaos where everything's just setting in, you can just pull the trigger and get it done. But seduction target is going to be nice. Leaves the conversation. We chase them and we get the white flirt to bring it to 85%. And now we can finish flirt at any distance later on into the game. Toby offering a drink here. Will Jake decide to purloin? Will Jake respond to Toby? No, Toby is actually just going to give up. And that's going to be a massive highlight onto Jake.
Wow, it looks like a reject did technically come through there at the very end, but yeah, I think it was at the very tail end of what is permissible. And if Tabsies actually caught that, that is tremendous from a challenger sniper to notice something like that.
That was a 12-second. Nope, sorry. 8-second drink offer there, and definitely at that stage, that's a spy. There's very rare circumstances an AI will keep Toby waiting that long. Huge highlight onto Jake here, and we're starting to see that Tabs knows his etiquette. Quite a few shots and highlights and suspicion coming through from just small etiquette things, and that's dangerous in Challenger.
Banana bread.
Fake contact into a split coming through from Jake. And it was fake completely. But will the banana split be enough to get us a low light? Doesn't look like it. Seems like Tabs is on top of this, and the inspect's not going to be rewarded. Potentially Jake's a dead man walking on a real contact.
Yeah, tremendous fake though. It just didn't matter. It was all the drink. That's all it took. That's all it took. Wow. It was a great fake. 9 people could have done a reel, and I think maybe 1 person was out of conversation. It was a great time to do it. But at that point, just you forgot about Toby and you paid the price. Do not disrespect Toby, people. Snipers will not have it.
And this is a really interesting series because when you look at sniper stats versus spy stats for both these two players across the season so far, huge emphasis on their spy play, both sporting above 71% in their spy play. Jake ekes out just a little bit further in 74%. It's the sniper play that's kind of let these players down across the board. 53% of the season for Jake, 58% for Tabs. However, when you consider that Tabs is shooting for etiquette, then all of a sudden this sniper becomes even scarier for Jake because his spy play is what he's relied on so heavily in his series so far. And Jake is catching, Tabs is catching all these small little etiquette things that normally no one catches below, I mean, silver or gold, maybe even bronze division, really. There's no real snipers dedicated to etiquette watching. And so when you're this in this position in a league where spy kind of dominates, if you can catch those little etiquette things, it can be a huge turning point. And I'll be really interested to see if this is the swing that we see in the series. Either way, fantastic shot coming through from Tabs, and now spying as Kane on the courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That split you mentioned is actually very common, I've noticed, in the lower levels, where spy win rates are actually higher than sniper win rates among a lot of different players. Sniper just takes a long time to kind of get that routine down, I think.
Noob's eyeing up a new Pad 1 to mentor here, a time ad right at the bat on courtyard for Tabs. Now we're going to get a 51% flirt. Really strong start for Tabs. Lots of time to dwindle here and really consider how we're going to find a spy win. Of course, courtyard, a very linear venue track. There's not many ways you can win it. It's all about the execution.
What you're doing is going to be potentially seen. It's going to be very visible with this high viewing angle from the sniper. The list is so easy to spot. You can see bug angles before they happen. All that. It's just going to be about timing, maybe pacing a game out well for Softails, or just splitting the sniper's attention on those instances where Toby and the Ambassador are on other sides of that big honking statue in the middle of the venue.
What I think I love about Tabs so far is that they're willing to shoot for small etiquette things, whether it be purely etiquette or pathing or whatever it may be. However, they're not too bothered about it themselves, and this is kind of the trap that you sometimes see from people who start to learn etiquette, and
yes,
is that they then follow every rule in the book, and realistically, you don't need to as long as the sniper won't catch you for it. So Tabs isn't worried to break a couple of rules here, and it's quite a refreshing scene to watch. We do go for a second briefcase attempt here into a bug as we walk past the Ambassador Kane side. Was it seen by Jake?
I mean, it disappeared into the Ambassador. It's the kind of thing you have to credit and say, well, AIs don't usually snuggle up that close, but I didn't technically see a bug. And yeah, we saw a stop talk, I think, on the first flirt, and I thought right away, well, just because you know etiquette doesn't mean your opponent does.
Telling times, Jake so far has held highlights off of suspicious spies, showing that the highlights potentially are a little bit more about memorizing specific things rather than suspicion. Tabs now stepping into statues here to pick up a set of inspects. Bug seduce completed. Inspects won't take all that long. This could be where a shot comes through if you thought the bug was definitive. And there it is. Jake does go for the shot. Makes us a little bit difficult for us as casters track because the highlights aren't necessarily about suspicion. They are about tracking. And there it is. Yeah, the bug was seen.
So the bug's seen, and that was a fingerprintable statue. So even though contact hasn't gone off, they're thinking, well, if I missed a fingerprint, this is the game. So in that sense, I actually really like the shot there. It makes perfect sense.
Not to mention, that was 2 attempts at a briefcase pickup from Tabs that game as well. So not only is it, have I missed a fingerprint? You could just say, Kane's been trying to get that briefcase all game.
Yeah, whether they're finished or not, this just really seems like the spy to me. And it's a good bug. It's the kind of bug you have to credit, but you can't actually see. And I'm amazed that people are A, doing that in Challenger, and B, shooting each other for it anyway.
Very exciting set that we have here from these 2 challengers up against each other, both undefeated so far in their division. Jake has won every match so far. Now, spying as Red Dress, we'll have to see if they can find a spy win to set themselves apart here. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It might seem at first blush like the etiquette knowledge and some of the things they're shooting for would seem at odds with those low sniper win rates, but it actually makes perfect sense to me. It shows to me that they have a lot of game knowledge already, but they're still learning how to sift through it in the moment. It means they're probably fixating on smaller things that don't matter as much, but every now and then that leads to a very impressive shot too. So it's just a maturity thing where you learn to prioritize what game knowledge you have.
Massive no talk in this conversation here, which is worrying, considering we've seen Tabs already make decisions based off of etiquette. However, this time, looks like Jake got a free pass, and we're idling here. A change of pace for Jake at this early stage, a innocent drink take, sips in conversation, no talking going on. Looks like Rocker might come close to us, but not quite to us. We're going to go for a window flirt here. It's going to be a nice one here. Oh, no, it's not. The curse of the seduction target strikes back. Never make Rocky your seduction target, Jake. It's clearly not working. I know, there you go. It's just for the green. It's actually a great play from Jake. I take it back.
Works fine, hits the green. That's going to help a lot with that early idling that you mentioned.
2 minutes on the board. Courtyard is a hard venue to idle on. Have to speed up the play at some point here if we're wanting to finish.
Well, it
Maybe
works better.
Jake's not.
It works better when this many people have been to statues. You see that Tabsies is highlighting for statues, and there's been a rush of them, and now there are about as many people glowing as not.
6 highlights, I count. It looks like Jake is surveying the party as well. I'm going to try and step in for a contact. Looks like Tabs is staring Alice down. Oh, but the timing on that contact comes through and eliminates her from suspicion. That's huge. However, if that was a huge tunnel coming through, maybe we're not going to catch this purloin. Green test comes through. Flirt completed at 51%. It's going to be Twin to take the drink. The guest list fades. It's a green, and Tabs just shakes a shot there.
Wow, that is particularly rough because Tabs has been zooming in on that guest list a lot the last couple sniper games, and they were zoomed in on this take too. And normally, that's the trade. There's a risk to doing that. The bug might not be visible. You're going to miss all sorts of other stuff, especially the etiquette stuff that Tabs was catching earlier. In this case, though, it's the worst of both worlds. You're dedicating all that attention to making sure you're zoomed in on the list, but still not quite noticing the fade.
Yeah.
And Tabs is actually confirming that they believed it was a white fade in the moment.
Yeah, that's tough. If you're not sure, look, it's tough. I've messed up the fades all the time, but if you're going to zoom in, it needs to be specifically so that that mistake doesn't happen. And if it happens anyway, then maybe the zoom isn't a good allocation of your attention either. Obviously, easier said than done and easier to say in hindsight. In this case, just a tough shot. But that is really unfortunate, though, to dedicate that much attention to something and still lose to it.
Afraid we cut you off there, Yish. I don't know if you wanted to add something to that.
I was just about to say the fact that Tabs is ended up zooming out as the fade was happening probably doesn't help. If you stay zoomed in, it's pretty clear. But when you zoom out, you don't actually get to look at the list properly. So that might have also hurt him some.
There's a lot of different things that can really hurt when it comes to catching fades and really being on top of that. And we always say you can't catch a bug when you're moving your camera. Same can be said with green purloins and green swaps as well. Very unfortunate loss there for Tabs. Potentially one where tunneling on an AI and then having them confirmed as AI can really just throw you off your rocker there and off balance. Now as Spy, we're going to have to put back. We'll see what we can do here as Irish in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Looking for that early flirt at windows. Can we get it? Looks like we will be able to fairly easily. And a nice green test to kick us off here. This is going to give us a lot of pacing, ability to pace the game out if we want to, or if we want to speed flirt, then we could get it done in basically the first 30 seconds of the game.
A lot of new spies have trouble finishing flirt, a lot more than intermediate and expert spies. Tabsies is not one of them, though. Complete seduce almost 74% of the time. That is very high for a new player. Kind of high for any player, but very high for a challenger player. Also really likes bug and fingerprint, so I'd be looking at one of those as the 4th mission for this game.
Fingerprints already completed. Or sorry, one of 2 is. We're stepping in for our second flirt here, in range to complete here, and we will hit it with a 51%. Flirt done just under a minute. And now we have a huge amount of time to consider how we want to say it, how we want to play it. Fingerprint on drink. Do we request? We do. So now we're going to look to finish fingerprint very early on here for Tabs. Let's see how suspicious Jake is when it comes to this fingerprint, because it looks like we're going for a soft tail finish.
Yeah, fingerprint completed quite a bit often. 3 times more than purloin, which is shocking for almost any spy, really.
It's a very difficult match to play, game to play here as Sniper. Doesn't matter what division you're in, a Softail Courtyard can be very difficult to catch. And especially at this speed that Tabs is playing. Very much off the script as far as Courtyard is concerned. We're in the conversation with the double agent looking for the contact. We're going to sip our drink before we do so we can get ready to head towards statues. A white test coming through, contact completed. Now we need only an inspect or two to finish this game and get us spy win.
Yeah, we're in great position now. It doesn't feel like we're a very big suspect. We haven't been to statues yet, and that's always the crucible you have to go through as spy, but there's just a highlight coming off, and it doesn't look like a shot's going to follow it.
Lots of time to consider this shot with Jake. It all comes down to, did we catch the fingerprints? Oh, never mind. We swap instead due to the fact that Alice comes to the statues. 5 seconds. We're going to leave very quickly. And it doesn't look like Jake's going to look at it. It's going to be an adaptation from Tabs, and it's going to pay off. Dancing behind the statue. And it just seems like Jake was not ready for that finish.
That's a hell of an audible to call, but the reason the inspects were going to work is the same reason the swap works. Not a big suspect, even though 3 missions are done. It's actually not that hard to get away with 1 mission for 10 seconds. What's hard is getting to the point where you only have 1 mission left and you're not being watched like a hawk. But that's what happened there. 3 missions done, no suspicion. That means even if the last action is very suspicious, you get away with it.
What a crazy play coming through from Tabs there to make the call in the moment and come through with that spy win. It's not what you expect. I believe that brings us to 4 apiece as we head over to the ballroom. All tied up. 2 spy wins in a row on Courtyard after 2 sniper wins. Impressive stuff. We'll have to see how this match continues to progress. Of course, ballroom, a interesting venue. You probably can talk to it about it a little bit more after your invested slow cast this weekend, Track.
Yeah, I've been up to my knees in ballroom, so I'm very excited to do a little bit more. It's at the forefront of my mind already.
Thankfully, this one won't be done at half speed. We'll have to see what Jake can do as Bling Twin in just a second here. Let's count it down. 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
Half
How
is
do we
very
start?
generous.
White test. Very standard start. But I don't care about the float. I care about what Jake does next. Are we going for something slightly more risky? Are we going to bet it all on a bug? In a good position here to bug if we want to. Potentially just going to wait for the seduction target and flirtation cooldown to come off and pick up that second flirt.
Yeah, bug and purloin done in roughly equal measure in SCL history on ballroom.
Wow.
Normally,
What a call. A call to make a fake contact with this many people in our conversation. And it pays off. There's no suspected double agent in our conversation. This is going to put so much suspicion onto the 3 with Irish. We've already seen that Tabs has showcased a bit of willingness to shoot early Track. This could be huge for Jake. Assuming that fake contact was intentional and it wasn't just the split coming through from our seduction target.
Yeah, if that's deliberate, then it really suggests that they are reacting to the first handful of their opponent's snipers' games, and that they are trying to counterplay and exploit what they see as early tendencies in this match.
Potentially it was just a flirt gone wrong, but if not, we'll praise it. Surprisingly, Rocker, again, a seduction target. Take note, guys. Free low light. Potentially. Who knows? I haven't watched many other games from Jake, but so far, it's been pretty consistent.
That's behavioralism. Do you want to venture into behavioralism this early in their challenger careers? I don't know. Maybe save it for silver and above.
Very slow game here from Jake. And unfortunately for us, it seems like the people that was involved in that contact early with Irish haven't really done anything. So maybe this won't work out. Second contact going to come through, this time real. Whole new set of guests. Everyone has contact now. Couple lowlights available. Seems like Tabs is watching the ambassador intently rather than taking them. And now
Yeah,
we'll switch to Toby.
That early fake may have been good, except for one thing. It's early in the game, which means you don't know what every character's game is going to look like. If you do it at the end, you can specifically do it to target someone who you know has been to statues, who you know has taken a bug path, or is in a purloin chain, or what have you.
I believe Orange Dress was one of the few who was out for that second contact. Now receives a highlight for middle statues late. Jake with the blue book in hand, potentially looking to make a microfilm transfer. It's a good backup plan if we need it. We could also attempt a wrong arm bug onto the ambassador as we go back here, and that's what we're looking for, but it doesn't quite trigger. That's unfortunate. Didn't get the angle we wanted. The book has been marked as green, though, which means that if Jake did return it, then potentially we get the mission. There's the bug. It's practically invisible. Fake contact instead of seduce. Another error coming through from Jake. We need that seduce so we can put the book back in the green bookshelf. Here comes the fake contact. Now we're looking for the seduce, and it's just going to be joke shot in the head here from Tabs. Jake didn't need to mission complete. Tabs was feeling the pressure.
Yeah, the sniper flashed onto Orange, sorry, by the way, but she was knocked out by that BB at the very end, but it didn't matter. There were just too many big suspects, partially from that fake, I think, and eventually some of them did do something, and yeah, I think maybe Jake just understands if I play a clean game here and there's a little bit of activity, it's going to be hard for the sniper to hold their shot, and that is what happens.
I believe the first contact actually knocked Duke off. Yeah, it did. First contact was...
Oof.
Unfortunately, one that could have resulted in a low light onto quite a few people. Teal, Duke, Salmon, Walt. The second contact would have given us a couple of more lowlights in the form of Bling Twin, Small Man. So that's a bit unfortunate when it comes back to hit you like that, that someone who could have been removed was indeed out during a contact.
It's the worst feeling when you could have knocked someone out early in the game and you end up shooting them instead. You have to prioritize whether or not you're going to notice who's talking, notice who's in, notice who has real, or whether or not you're going to prioritize getting the lowlights. Both come with a cost. In this case, you just saw the cost of not prioritizing the lowlights.
We see there on the camera, just before we jump into the game, camera angle to protect bug, not the best. Allowed Jake to get away with a fairly ugly bug path, but if it's behind a pillar, it doesn't matter. Jake up 5-4 here, looking to try and take it to match point with a sniper when Tabs as Pearl. Look at the spawn as well, right next to our seduction target and the ambassador as Pearl, one of the best with walking bugs. This could be a chaos bug. Let's see if Tabs takes AI control immediately and goes for it. 3, 2, 1, playing it. AI control, nope, we're sticking to it. Now we take it. Cowboy will enter it, but we don't go for it. Oh, man. Tabs decides to play the game calm and collected. No chaos shenanigans.
Well, the ambassador was right behind them, but our character is so slow that if the ambassador had continued to walk, you could have had a perfectly free invisible bug.
Green time ad comes through. Could have been a test. Am I hitting greens? Yes, I am. Do I purloin? No, we don't. Tab's going to idle in a conversation by themselves. And from shenanigans on library to a very calm, slow play here on ballroom could showcase the mental aspects at play here, Track. The pressure on, and what does someone do when the pressure is on? What kind of characteristics do they fall into?
Yeah, I think most players fall into familiar habits as opposed to mixing it up. They mix it up when there's nothing left to lose, when they feel like they're going to lose already.
This is going to be a very slow play. We've added time with the green test of the watch check. And yet, Tabs is going to use that 45 seconds to idle, basically, at this stage. Do nothing. Maybe now we step in for a flirt at green bookshelf. Could be fairly innocent. Looks like that's going to be the play. White test, and then we'll pick up a book here. And I like the play. I think not enough people flirt first at bookshelves. Like we mentioned, etiquette and animation watching and timings, there's only a few people who really do catch it. You never know when your seduction target's going to leave.
Yeah,
now we've rushed our flirt and we've got up to 85% all of a sudden.
And someone did do the math, and it seems like it is technically possible to do it so that's not literally a hard tell. It's just a little on the high end, a little suspicious, and that's only if they're staring right at you. So,
fake contact comes through, and we get a low light. Oh, wow. Jake's actually assuming real here. Low lights for real contact, and that's going to allow us to take the green book to blue completely unseen. This could be the turning point for Tabs. book goes into blue bookshelf. The microfilm has been transferred. Did the sniper notice us right at the last second? Looks like we may have. The rotations, the snap. I don't know just yet. We'll find out later, I suppose. Here comes the flirt to finish off our second mission.
It's such a bold move with the book, but it works pretty well. I think the really interesting thing is what you want to do ideally there, if you're going to take those aggressive lowlights, maybe you make them as provisional as you can. You say, if this person does something innocuous next, then I'll lowlight them. Show me one more thing. In this case, if they waited to see one more thing, they would have seen the book dump.
Concern here as we enter into the final stage of Ballroom, an all-familiar stage for any spies who frequent the venue, because the double agent seems to just be not in conversation, but it doesn't matter. Small men get shot, and we're going tied into our last venue.
Wow. In that case, it's just, I really feel like the spy is probably trying to finish, which was true, but I've already loaded the spy, so what happens? A civilian gets shot.
Let's break it down real quick and see exactly what Mr. S did to deserve such treatment.
He doesn't have to do much.
I believe, was real for... Oh, no, it wasn't. He was out of conversation with the briefcase.
There we go. Once again, someone out during a banana bread who gets shot anyway. The challenger level sniper is doing some very impressive things, but deprioritizing, picking up those hard lowlights. And hard lowlights are so valuable because you can, if they're hard, if you are positive you got it right, you can forget about them forever and devote your attention to other things. And again, both snipers fall victim to this.
Crazy to see the amount of lowlights just not being picked up by our snipers here, and even more so the fact that we're going for assumed real lowlights when there's been so many fake contacts in this series. Very interesting decisions being made here, and we head into high rise of all venues to finish this series off. 5 tied up. Jake spying first for match point. Let's look at the mission selected. Bug, contact, inspect, seduce, fingerprint. The old faithful here on high rise, the standard SCL setup. We'll have to see if Jake can do it as Irish in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Do we slow play or do we rush? Jake's done a bit of both this series.
Yeah, and the adjustment, insofar as it represents a strategic adjustment, is very potentially interesting.
Ambassadors wishing a bug upon themselves. Jake holds firm, not going for it. However, due to the way that Tabs was looking over to the right, potentially we just insinuate that a bug could have happened and apply suspicion to Red Dress, Irish alike, regardless, which is always a pain as a spy. Why did you shoot me? Oh, because you could have bugged. I didn't quite see.
Red.
I could tell you were thinking about the bug. Yeah, and a low light on White Dress before the banana bread. Very interesting. A behavioral low light and then one hard low light for the banana bread.
Contact.
Or a misclick.
Or a misclick. Yeah, we'll potentially the yellow arrow coming through. Haunts everyone. We've got our seduce up to 43% here. Contact done early. And now that becomes a ticking time bomb for anyone who has real contact, as to the fact that they could finish at any point. Sniper staring down the barrel for a bug from Irish, but no bug will come. Instead, a flirt puts us up to 71%. Good little place to be. Only need 29 more, meaning we can get it from very distant ranges here.
Yeah, seems very determined not to lose to bug, if nothing else.
Here comes General once more, back into the same position for the 3rd time in a row. And once more we stare it down. Red Dress with the fingerprint from the briefcase, a set of inspects as well, and a sniper trailing her. Many mounts of polygons mounted on top of her head. This could be a ticking time bomb AI. We'll have to watch Red Dress a little bit closely as this clock dwindles.
And Jake will have to be watching Red Dress very closely too, because that's what you're doing on high rise. You're leaving yourself options. You want to finish if you have to, but you want to watch the party almost as much as the sniper does.
What does Jake want here? Looks like we may be setting up for a seduce. Weird, not quite. Cowboy gets away, but so does Pearl, unfortunately. So we will not get a seduce here. And here's that ticking time bomb coming back to haunt us one more, as Buns picks up middle statues late into the game. How suspicious is this to Tabs?
Well, either they're holding the shot until the very end of the completes, or not that suspicious at all. They're thinking about it. And that's
Beauty of an early contact right there is you just put all of the pressure onto the sniper to make the correct shot. And unfortunately for Tabs, it does not come through. Two things I want to look at. The contact, let's see it, because it has bitten us quite a few times. This time Buns was a member of it. And so at least this time we can't condemn. And it does look like the low light onto Pearl was bouncing related with Damon very early on. It is a very early low light within the first, I guess, 6 seconds of the game, which 100% could be AI control, but a correct one at this case.
Yeah, that's just what it comes down to. Could be done. I'm actually really impressed, though, that the shot didn't come off right away. It wasn't jumpy. It was, well, if they're completing their inspects, I have 10 more seconds at least. Wait around, see if someone rushes a bug, and then take the shot. It wasn't the right shot, but that is the way you want to shoot if you decide to shoot there.
Yeah,
This is,
and the weakness of not tracking Flirt, Boots only talked a single time. Just talked once the entire game. So if you don't catch Seduce, then you lose to 2 cycle middle statues, right? So
Sometimes, yeah.
It
It's hard to
hurts.
track Flirt, but if you're going to play High Rise 3-5, get on it.
Yeah, Blue Book, 1 talk at the 240 mark, returns the book, and then into it. Wow, so literally no opportunity for flirting there whatsoever from Boots. And like you mentioned, this is why tracking Flirt on a venue like High Rise is so important, a venue like Pub. Now it's all on Tabs to make the spy play happen, to find a tie here, and to deny Jake his undefeated winning streak. Let's see if they can do it as Queen on High Rise in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Once more, a very stable start. It seems like Tabs opts into AI control to destination, and then we take control. No moments of chaos coming through.
No, and you don't normally want to. That's not the high percentage play in High Rise. Obviously, you can win the game in an instant if you get off a clean bug, but that's so rare.
First Flirt is 51%. Nice stuff. Way to offers a drink, but we've kept the same mission set here, so there won't be anything to gain from taking one other than an opportunity to leave the conversation. Good stuff coming through from Tabs. Innocent drink take, innocent leave. Very AI-like, and now we can step back in if we want to and complete our Flirt fairly quickly, or we can just follow Alice to a new destination.
Looks like we're not gonna. She's faster, she'll get there first, and by the time you get there, maybe you'll have to rush the Flirt or something, and there are going to be plenty of other opportunities on High Rise. Getting Flirt done, not difficult.
Tabs waiting to find Alice, who comes straight to us. Very tight and insta-talks as well. Behaviorless nightmare. 85%. The stop talk comes through as well.
AI's making me look smart.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't think it will be an issue for Jake. We'll have to see, though. Very active AI. I mean, this would be the time to contact if you really were wanting to frame your seduction target. But it seems like Tabs is more set on winning outright as Spy. Fingerprint fails, unfortunately, with a red test from the green bookshelf. That's going to change our play a little bit. Now Fingerprint doesn't seem to be an option. However, of course, depending on how accurately Jake is tracking mission progress, that could just put suspicion onto us that we didn't want.
Yeah, absolutely, because they don't know if they hit the action test or not. So maybe they've got a print, maybe they don't. Maybe they're just going to credit it to be on the safe side. Maybe they're going to count it as a half like some people do. It's really hard to tell because you can't tell as the spy what the sniper's going to think about something like a difficult fingerprint most of the time.
Across the conversation, looking for our final Flirt here. In just a second. The double agent being a pain in the last minute with a green book in hand. Not going to come to conversation anytime soon, it seems. Oh, wow. Just a very quick shot comes through onto the Buns, who was completing a second inspect, I believe. And, oh no, that was the same statue. Very confusing shot. We'll have to replay this one.
Well, if you're not sure, if you don't specifically remember things like that, and you're just saying highlight for statues or second statue visit or whatever, something like that, that can be reason enough sometimes if you're not actually tracking it on a granular level. But yeah, another Civ shot, and it's again on Buns.
I mean, there's a couple things going on here. Bug paths, fingerprints. 2 fingerprints, in fact. Okay, so at that point, fairly justified. Chasing Alice around the venue, it seems, as well. I mean, this is a shocker of an AI. 3 fingerprints, okay. So, I mean, at that point, maybe 3 fingerprints is too many, but still, a very active AI, and on high rise, that will bite you.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And, well, we were talking about these 2 players. Who's going to be at the top of Challenger? This would be a huge win for either of them, and it turns out neither of them win.
Neither of them win, but Jake dished his first non-win, a tie, dishing 2 points in Challenger, I believe. The scoring system, 3 for a win, 2 for a tie, and 1 for a loss. And that's that hurts a little bit when you've had such a good season so far. I think this is your 10th match and or 11th match, and you not quite being able to go all the way. But still, fantastic set from both these guys. High level thoughts coming through, and a scary set of players that we'll have to keep our eyes on as they progress into later SEL seasons.
Yeah, the only thing I like about that match is that they're both in Challenger, which means I don't have to worry about them for a little while yet. You guys stay down there for a bit, if that's all right.